Rafael Nadal's foot is a concern again heading into Roland Garros 2022 after losing in the Rome round of 16 to Denis Shapovalov in a third set where Rafa was struggling to move once again. I want to start with this. I obviously have kind of an analytical brain syndrome and I detach myself emotionally, but I just want to say, it's super sad to see a player struggling to play with freedom on the court, and a great player like Rafa Nadal, who has who gives so much to this sport whenever he's able to. So yeah, sad to see, hard to see. And I want to lead with that before I get into analyzing the situation, which requires me to detach emotionally from it, okay? This has been a weird time in Nadal's career, a very, very weird time, because it's felt like every time he's lost a match in the last year, it's pretty much been because something is wrong physically. Whether it be immediately after the Lloyd Harris match, or the Taylor Fritz final this year, or this Denis Shapovalov loss. Or if you can go back, he has said that during Roland Garros last year when he lost to Djokovic, that even on that occasion, the foot was beginning to bother him, although I'm always a little bit hesitant to take any credit away from Djokovic for that match, because I do believe Nadal played really well in that semifinal for 3 sets, and Djokovic was up 2-1 after those 3 sets. But all that said, it's been a weird time in Nadal's career because it's felt like rarely has he been anywhere in between physically incapacitated and winning every tennis match he plays. There's been no in between, and that's been strange. It's also weird that 2022 has been a reversal of the pattern that we've seen in Nadal's career for a very long time now, which is that it's the hard courts where things go wrong for him physically and the clay courts where he heals up and the body cooperates. With the exception of 2016 when he had the wrist injury, the clay court bill of health has been a whole lot cleaner than the hard court bill of health, which has been a challenge for Nadal throughout his career. In this case, it is once again the Mueller-Weiss disease, the foot disorder that is genetic, that he was born with, that first popped up in 2004. And it's very hard to add anything to these kinds of conversations. Is he going to be okay for Roland Garros? How could you know that? Well, what you can do is you can look at history. And I have, good news and bad news. Reason for optimism, reason for pessimism. The reason for pessimism is this. If you go back to 2004 when the Mueller-Weiss disease first came up, he withdrew in Estoril after beating Richard Gasquet, a player who he would go on to have a lot of success against for the remainder of his career. He beat Richard Gasquet in Estoril. And he didn't play. That was in mid-April. He did not play again until early July in Bastad, July 5th. He missed Roland Garros in 2004. And then we saw it again happen last year, and he tries to return, City Open, unsuccessfully, has to go out, and ultimately it's a 6-month ordeal where the foot is in recovery mode and he's trying to make it better. So that's kind of the bad news is if you look at the injury history, usually it has not been something that has sorted itself out quickly, with the exception of maybe there were times in Australia this year, before the Australian Open, where people were noticing that Nadal maybe doesn't look 100%, but then it was fine. But that's a fuzzy memory for me, and I'm not really seeing that as clearly as I would like to make any sort of declaration. But yeah, history suggests that this is something that could put Nadal out for a while. Roland Garros begins in 10 days as of this recording. Now, I think I should make another point. The other point is that there's usually more time than maybe it would ultimately seem when it comes to major championships. 10 days until the first day of the main draw. And then you have an 128-player draw. And it's a situation where usually if the draw is kind enough and probability suggests that it probably will be kind enough, you don't have to be at 100% right away. You get usually 2 or 3 matches before you really have to be at your very, very best, and you have days off in between matches. So that's a lot of time. And we have seen players, especially the great ones, look a certain way the first week and get better and better in time for the second week, or become much better in time for the second week, I should say. So it's not like Nadal needs to be 100% in 7 days. It's not like that. And he might really have 14 days, 17 days before he finds himself in a match where he really needs to be at his best in order to win the match. I also think that we know that Nadal is going to try, and he has that on his side. It's a pain that he has fought through. It's an injury that he has dealt with throughout his career. He said after the match, "I'm not injured. I'm not injured. I'm just a player who," I don't have the exact quote, but he basically said, "I'm just a player who was born with an injury, and I'm not injured." And that is to say that he understands his foot. He knows what it is. He knows exactly what to expect. He's not going to be really afraid to make it worse. And he's so good at fighting through this. And I think he is going to try. And that is good. That is a glass half full factor. It is not something that he might be fearful that if he plays, he is going to sacrifice the rest of his 2022 season, or that he is going to make a tear worse, or he is going to injure it further. I don't think this is the kind of thing that he is dealing with. Now, he missed all that time trying to get it to recover fully at the end of 2021, but I think there's optimism that Nadal is going to give it his all here, as he always does. It's one of his best attributes, and one of the things that has made him as special as he is as a player. I don't think there's much more there. I'll throw out that there is obviously also some concern about the tennis itself. The fact that he hasn't had enough matches to actually put himself in a position where he's hitting the tennis ball as well as he would like. And he said after this match that one of the unfortunate things is he started to feel a lot better in this match, that he was playing better. I thought the first set was good against Shapovalov, but Denis was so bad that it was hard to tell. And then I think things fell apart for him when he started to feel pain. So certainly it's not the Roland Garros lead up that he would like. It reminds me of, maybe the 2015 or the 2016 lead up, or maybe even 2020. Remember, things were not really looking up for Nadal coming into Roland Garros 2020 when we hadn't seen him play barely any tennis for the entire summer through the pandemic break, didn't travel to North America, lost in Rome to Diego Schwartzman, and then pulled off a great run in Paris. Let's see what happens. But obviously, bad news, sad news, and let's just hope we get to see Nadal compete at his best in Paris with, against the likes of Stefanos Tsitsipas and Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic. That would be what is best for tennis, and our fingers are crossed for that. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.